everyone, and welcome back to the Dairy Academy. I'm Laura.
And I'm Marika, and today we have two graduate students from the University of Guelph joining us. Hannah and Alberto, would you like to tell us about what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm Hannah. I'm a master's student with the University of Guelph, and I study calf nutrition.
Hi, I'm Alberto. I'm also a PhD student from University of Guelph, and I also work with calf nutrition and more specifically with Colostrum.
All right, and can you guys give us a little overview of what your studies are?
Yeah, so I did post-day 1 colostrum, which means we were feeding colostrum to calves for an extended period of time and looking at the impacts of this on their growth, health, and IgG status.
Hi. Well, I was more focused on colostrum enrichment. Basically, is trying to enhance the quality of low-quality colostrum, which is defined below 50 grams per liter of IgG. So my main purpose was to add colostrum replacer to maternal colostrum block body and to enhance the IgG concentration, and with that the calf will receive more IgG during the first hours of life.
So Hannah, would you be able to tell us more about your methodology for your study?
Yeah, so we actually looked at 4 different diets for our calves. So all the calves did receive 2 meals of colostrum on the first day of life. And then after that, they all went on to individual diets. So we had our control calves just went on a milk replacer directly on day 1. Our transition calves went on a 50% colostrum, 50% milk replacer mixture for days 1 and 2. And then after that, they went on a milk replacer. We also had an extended diet where we had our calves go on to a milk replacer that was topped up with 10% colostrum on top of the milk replacer. And they were on that for 14 days. And then finally, we had the transition and extended diets kind of mixed together, where we had those 2 days of 50-50 mixture, and then they went on a 10% supplementation of colostrum until day 14 of life. After that point, they all went on to milk replacer until the end of the trial, where they were weaned out at week 7. And throughout the trial, we looked at weekly body weights. We did blood sampling daily for the first 7 days, and then weekly weaning. We also did fecal and respiratory scoring daily for the entire trial, and we looked at feed intake as well. Okay.
Would you be able to tell us more about the significant results from your study?
Yeah, so first with growth, we found our transition diet led to the greatest average daily gains throughout the entire study period. We also had a lot of significant results in week 2, the average daily gains there, where both the extension diet and the transition plus extension diet had greater average daily gains, which was kind of interesting because we had a lot of disease challenge in week 2, so it suggested that maybe these calves went through their disease challenge a little bit better. We also found with our health results that our extension calves and our transition plus extension calves were 1.6 times less likely to undergo a severe respiratory event, where we categorized our respiratory diseases in like mild, moderate, severe. We also had our transition calves had their onset of diarrhea delayed by 3.5 days compared to that control calf, so they were able to get a bit more body weight before undergoing that disease challenge. And our last significant result was with our mortality. We did have a high mortality last summer in this trial, but both our extension diet and our transition diet had reduced mortality compared to that control diet, which was a nice result.
So what do you think the relevance of your research is for dairy producers today?
Well, a lot of dairy producers are actually already feeding an extension or a transition diet, so this just kind of reinforced what they're already doing, and maybe it's a good idea for some other farms, depending on their management, feeding that maybe the transition or the extension depending on your farm, and it could lead to less severe health events, allow your calves to get a bit more weight on them before undergoing health events, and also increase their average daily gains, and possibly reduce mortality if that's an issue in your herd.
So what was the methodology of your study?
Okay, so basically I had 5 different colostrum treatments, in which ones I had 3 controls, in which the first one was at 30 grams per liter of IgG maternal colostrum, which would be considered low quality. Then the second one was at 60 grams per liter of IgG maternal colostrum. and then the third one was a 90 gram per liter of IgE of maternal colostrum. And all calves were fed 3.8 liters. So that's the three controls we have. And then the fourth treatment will be the first enrichment, which basically is taking the 30 gram per liter maternal colostrum, adding colostrum replacer, and that brings up the IgE concentration up to 60. And then the fifth treatment is the second enrichment, and that's trying to bring up the 60 gram per liter maternal colostrum up to a 90 by adding colostrum replacer. And that we fed all the calves 3.8 liters via esophageal feeder, and after that we're trying to see how the IgE absorption differs between the different treatments.
Awesome. What were some of the significant results from your trial?
Okay, first I'm going to start with the three controls. As you would imagine, the one that received the lowest maternal colostrum quality, the one of 30 gram per liter, their IgE absorption was less because they're fed less IgG, right? So at 24 hours, their IgE absorption was around about 10 milligrams per liter. But then for the C2, which is 60 gram, the IgE absorption was greater. And then for the C3, the IgE absorption was even greater. So that means that the more IgG you feed to the calf, the better it is for the calf. What about the enrichment? The first enrichment trying to bring up the low quality colostrum up to 60, which would be considered high quality or medium quality. We saw that the IgE was significantly increased. So we saw usually a bump from 11 up to 19 grams per liter at 24 hours. So that was very surprising. We're happy with that because the efficiency of absorption was not that compromised at all. But for the second enrichment, which is bringing up the medium quality colostrum of 60 grams per liter of IgE up to 90, that one didn't work as well because the IgE was just increased from 24 up to 26 grams per liter 24 hours. And there are a lot of factors that could affect this because, for example, the thickness, the osmolality was very high in this treatment. So we started trying to figure out what was the thing that went wrong with this enrichment. But for sure, we can tell the producer that if you have a low quality colostrum that is 30 grams per liter, you're more than welcome to add colostrum replacer powder, and you'll bring the concentration higher, and the calf will have a higher IgE absorption.
That's awesome. All right, and what is the relevance of your research to producers today?
Okay, so there are a lot of producers that are already doing the enrichment, but basically what they do is like they have the colostrum, they just add powder, but they actually don't know like how to specifically do it, but they're doing it already. So what's the relevance of this study is that we are figuring out what are the concentrations of the colostrum that are optimal to add colostrum replacer powder. So for example, we already know that the 30 gram per liter of IgE colostrum can be enriched with powder, but whenever you have a colostrum that is already high in quality and you try to add more powder, that's not working that well, so trying to figure it out. But right now, the relevance is that we for sure know that around colostrum that is around 30 grams per liter of IgE, we can enrich it.
So thanks for coming out to the GYADC today. We're just curious, what made you choose to pursue post-grad studies in animal nutrition?
Well, I started working on a farm when I was a teenager, and I knew from that on that I wanted to stick with farming. I just didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then during my undergrad, I learned a lot more about nutrition. It really piqued my interest, and I've always been interested in calves because there's still a lot we don't know about calves, and the research, there's so much room to grow, and you can make a huge impact on the dairy industry because everything you do as a calf shows up later in life. So yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. I wasn't in contact that young, but I also fell in love with calves as soon as I started working on a farm. And I just noticed like how important it is, like if you see like a healthy calf, if you take that calf for a couple of years, see how that develops. So I was just curious to know like what can we improve to make a calf even healthier. So I just got that passion, and from now on I just like to work in calf and like try to make the best for them.
Awesome.
And that's it for this week at the Dairy Academy. We'll see you next week.